Chapter 6, The Hunt for Sloth. Prologue, Germany, year 1700. The timber of the mine creaked like an old throat. The air was thick with soot and spent powder. Oil lamps flickered in stone hollows like tired eyes. A man was crawling toward the mouth of light. Cold blackened his face, broken bones ached with every span, and a dark thread of blood soaked his lip. In his right hand he dragged a golden sword. It was no common blade, it throbbed with its own light, an ancient heartbeat that seemed to keep him alive. That glow lit rusted rails and overturned carts. One more step, he murmured. In the village they called him Johann, in the crew, for short, Jonan. He had been chosen to bear a piece of the sacred armament against the demons. His piece was not a helm, nor a bracelet, nor a shield, it was the sword. He had inherited it from Magdalena Bauer, a woman with clear eyes who knew too much of evil and too little of rest. If you fall, she had told him, do not release it until your last breath. As he brushed the threshold, the ground trembled. A deep noise ran along the vein, and the mine split in two as if hell itself were yawning. From the abyss rose something that deserved no name, a body with a rotting shell, long, sluggish claws, a turtle's head with enormous eyes, dim, and yet awake. Sloth emerged. Its shadow covered the man. Johann was a splinter at the base of a cliff. The demon lowered its snout. Its breath smelled of a damp burrow and dead time. I've beaten you, it said in a viscous thunder. It smiled without hurry. Wait. It waited, because it knew the law, while the chosen one still breathes, the weapon belongs to him. When the last breath escapes, the bond loosens. Johann's chest rose and fell 3 more times. His hand still gripped the hilt. At last, the sword vibrated and slipped from his fingers. Now the sword is mine, Sloth decreed. I have bested a guardian. I will be the one to keep this light until I snuff it out. It's only one piece, more await me. It sank its claws. With a slow, devastating motion, it swallowed earth, timber, rails, and sword. As it devoured, a tremendous glow lit its mouth. The light ran down its throat and lodged there like a captive golden ember. Sloth laughed to the rhythm of a funeral drum. On that day in 1700, evil celebrated. It drove a stake into the guardian's heart. And now we return to the present. The swamp steams, and Sloth stands there before Xóchitl, staring without blinking. The golden ember in its throat beats like a stolen heart. Come for me if you wish to free Iramuco, it says at last, with the cruel calm of one who knows how to wait. Then it turns and, with supernatural quickness, sinks its claws into the earth. The ground yields like butter beneath a hot iron. The demon begins to dig a tunnel that snakes into darkness, leaving behind a slow echo and a trail of heavy silence. Sloth had left behind the tunnel it used to slip away. Xóchitl, the swamp's mud still clinging to her legs, raised her voice into the mist. Dorian, can you hear me? Don't leave me alone. The air vibrated, as if an invisible string answered her call. I'm here, Xóchitl, the warm, deep voice replied. I haven't gone. Who is it? She asked, watching the darkness swallow the colossus. Who is Sloth? He is no ordinary demon, said Dorian. He is a capital sin. One of the strongest. He doesn't fight with haste or rage, he fights to exhaust you. If you sit a second too long, he wins. Xóchitl narrowed her eyes. In the turtle head's throat, far off, something burned, a golden glow beating like a captive heart. That light, Dorian, she whispered. What is shining in its throat? Sloth won a victory, he answered. Because of that defeat of ours, it stole a part of the armor. An ancient sword. It keeps it inside, jealously. Then, can it wound me with that sword? Not exactly, said Dorian. The sword does not obey demons. But the fact that he possesses it weakens us. That fragment has no guardian on our side right now. Xóchitl clenched her fist over the bracelet. If I defeat him, can I keep the sword? You'll be able to bear it while the sword has not chosen an heir, Dorian explained. Each piece of the armor needs its own guardian, just as you already carry the bracelet. If you win, you can wield the sword until it chooses its new guardian. There was a heartbeat of silence. In the tunnel, the echo returned a slow laugh. And if we lose? Xóchitl asked. Then Sloth will possess your bracelet and that sword, the voice turned to stone. We cannot lose. There are more fragments in enemy hands. More demons with pieces? Xóchitl swallowed. How many? Besides Sloth, Dorian said, there is one even stronger, Pride. She is the worst of all. She holds 3 parts of the armor. She has bested 3 guardians in the last 3 centuries. Xóchitl felt her blood go cold. Will I have to fight her too? For now, no, Dorian replied. Pride was last known to be in Asia. There are 2 warriors there who, as soon as they know where she is, will face her. But listen, if you win today and carry 2 fragments, your bracelet and the sword, Pride may turn her eyes toward you. She will want to take them. Xóchitl looked again at the imprisoned glow in Sloth's throat. The Colossus was burrowing deeper, fleeing slowly to force her to follow. Then I'll give him no quarter, she said. If that sword was ours, it will return to our hands. Keep moving, Dorian whispered. Do not sit. Do not overbreathe. Do not sing his song. And if you doubt, look at that light, it is promise. Xóchitl plunged into the tunnel. The first step was like sinking her foot into a warm mass. The floor was mud mixed with clotted blood, grains of earth and dark strands that stuck to her sandals as if they had memory. The smell hit her at once, iron, salt, old damp, a round, total stench that crept up her nose and clung behind her tongue until it nauseated. From the walls, which seemed made of living clay, fragments of bodies peeled free, fingers groping blindly, faceless mouths sucking air, eyes embedded in the rock that swiveled as she passed. They moved, yes, with the involuntary tremor of things that do not wish to live but still obey. Sloth decorated its burrow with a private hell before turning to face her again. It meant to file down her courage inch by inch, to crack her in silence. Dorian, she whispered. Doria, can you hear me? Nothing. Only the patient stream of some liquid farther in, the slow scrape of nails on mud, a low hum that might have been wind, or laughter. Dorian, don't leave me alone. Her voice came out lower than she thought. I can't go on if you're not there. The tunnel listened and answered with silence. There was no echo, darkness swallowed the sound at the first attempt. In that void, Xóchitl felt the tug of something old, the temptation to sit, to bend her knees and let the cave embrace her. A second. Just a second. The bracelet beat on her skin, a prick of light. She clenched her teeth. If you want to break me, sing to me, she murmured to the tunnel. But I won't sleep. She went on. At each stretch, the grotto revealed itself, a torso fused to the wall opened in a mute scream. From a hole burst hands like roots trying to seize her ankles. To her left, a full face emerged from the mud with closed eyes and, when they opened, they were hers. The mud wrinkled beneath her steps like animal hide. From some impossible point, a crooked lullaby swayed for an instant, and ceased. Then she saw it, a far-off light, no bigger than a fingernail, cold as the moon. It was not the golden glow of her bracelet nor the proud ember in the beast's throat, it was an exterior light, as if the tunnel debouched into open air. Xóchitl quickened her pace, slipping and righting herself, feeling the muck suck at her heels. The light grew. The air changed, less iron, more sulfur. She emerged. The world opened like a wound. All around, a plain of black rock vibrated with deep bass. Nearby volcanoes spat lava in bursts, spiral jets that rose and fell like flaming whips. Huge bats, with membranes so thin their veinwork showed through, crossed the sky in crooked swarms, shrieking in a tone felt more in the teeth than in the ears. And everywhere, violence. Demons tore demons apart, amorphous masses changed shape as they were cut, mouths formed where skin had been, tails multiplied like whips. Blood burned and boiled when it touched the rock. Men and women died under claws, and at once were reborn from the mud of nearby cliffs, crawling out again with empty eyes to die again in the same place, nearly in the same posture, as if time were a vicious circle with a single second repeated to exhaustion. The word tightened in Xochitl's throat. Hell. The ground throbbed beneath her soles, approving. Or not, she thought, fixing her gaze on the horizon where the monumental silhouette of the shell could be guessed. Not hell. A hell, his. A shadow fell over her. Xochitl looked up. Sloth watched her from a promontory, and the golden ember in its throat pulsed in time with the world's breathing. Its enormous eyes did not hold hatred, they held something worse, indifference, the yawn of a universe that could crush you or forget you with the same laziness. Come for me, if you want to free Iramuco, it said, each syllable like a stone rolling down a slope. Then it turned calmly and sank its claws into the rock. What followed was impossible. With supernatural speed, the colossus burrowed. Its body, too large for any gallery, bored through basalt as if it were soft bread. In a matter of heartbeats it had opened a new tunnel that spiraled underground. The sound was not a roar but a patient chewing, a wet sand saw that raised no dust, it drank it. Xochitl took a step. The air smelled of ancient suffering. Around her, those who were fighting paused for the briefest instant, as if an invisible director had cut the scene. Some looked at her, empty eyes, borrowed mouths, and went on dying. Dorian, she tried again, nearly without hope. The wind moved her hair and did not answer. So Xochitl tightened the bracelet and, with a last glance at those reborn from the mud, leapt into the fresh tunnel mouth. The walls were still hot from the monster's passage, the contact burned her palm, but did not stop her. I won't stand and watch, she murmured. Not today. And she went in, while the remembered golden light in the enemy's throat, that captive sword, fixed in her mind a north that no hell could twist. The ground shook at the first blow. Sloth's claw slammed into the rock and a rain of incandescent fragments fell like burning hail. Xochitl rolled aside, the bracelet sputtering to shield her just enough from the impact. Her breathing was already short, each exhale seared her chest. Sloth lifted its colossal shell and dropped it to the floor like a hammer. The shock wave sent her flying several yards and her back struck a wall of basalt. The pain ripped a groan from her. She felt hot blood in her mouth. Get up, she told herself, biting her lip. The demon dug a lateral hole and reappeared behind her, its maw opening like a cavern. Xochitl twisted at the last second, but the claw caught her arm, tearing skin and flesh. A thin red line fell across the bracelet, which answered with a furious throb. Sloth rammed the wall and tore loose whole blocks of stone that rolled like living mountains. Xochitl leapt, dodging, but one fragment clipped her legs and sent her sprawling. The monster laughed. It wasn't a cackle, it was thunder echoing again and again in slow motion. I'll wear you down, its voice boomed. You'll fall before you lift the sword. Xochitl coughed, black dust filling her lungs. Her strength thinned. For a moment she thought of surrendering, of letting darkness wrap her. But then she saw it. That glint. The golden ember in the colossus's throat. The trapped sword. The memory of Johann and Magdalena. The demon plunged into the lava. The seething surface closed over it like a treacherous lake. Silence, only the boil of magma. Xochitl backed away, alert. Where? Suddenly Sloth surged up right before her, splashing liquid fire. Its maw opened, so close the vapor burned her face. Xochitl barely had time to cover herself with her arm, the bracelet flared, keeping her from being swallowed. The clash threw her to the floor. There she lay, gasping, vision blurred. I can't, she thought. But again, that golden heartbeat called to her from the beast's throat. Like a heart demanding to be freed. No, she spat blood and rose to her knees. I won't yield. The demon opened its jaws again, ready to swallow her whole. Guided by the light, Xóchitl ran straight at it. The bracelet blazed, as if it shoved her forward. With a tearing cry, she hurled herself into Sloth's open throat. Darkness. Suffocating heat. The echo of crunching bones and a metallic heartbeat within. The sword was there, trapped as if on an altar. Xóchitl seized it. The weapon burned in her hand, recognizing the bracelet. Power coursed through her arm until it made her bones vibrate. Then a radiance split the monster's head from within. The sword carved outward, through flesh, bone, and shell. Golden brilliance exploded from the colossal turtle's eyes and mouth. A deafening roar filled the abyss. Sloth's body convulsed like a collapsing mountain, and then the head fell, severed by an impossible stroke. Drenched in black and golden blood, Xóchitl emerged from within, holding the sword high. The light rose with her, lighting the tunnel as if a sun had been born from the earth's entrails. She had defeated Sloth. Sloth, seeing its blood run, lifted its head to the sky and let out a growl that sounded like mountains grinding. That sound ran through the abyss, and at once the damned souls who fought one another stopped. They turned toward him as one. Their empty eyes filled with their master's same indifference. A collective roar shook the plain. Then hundreds, thousands, of shadows, demons, and mangled bodies charged at Xóchitl. It was like a dark mantle descending to smother her. Xóchitl tightened her grip on the sword. In that instant the impossible happened. The golden weapon and the bracelet shone at once, vibrating at the same frequency. Like siblings reunited, their strength multiplied. With all the breath she had left, she raised the sword to the sky and brought it down violently against the rock beneath her feet. The impact opened a ring of energy that boomed like a divine thunder. The wave raced outward in fury. When it reached the souls, they burst into dust and ash, vanishing in a second. The silence lasted only a blink. Sloth raised his head and growled again. And as if obeying an eternal echo, the ashes gathered, bones knit, flesh reformed. In seconds the same fallen souls rose again, advancing once more toward Xóchitl. She struck the rock with the sword again. Another wave, another burst of ash. But the demon repeated the call, and the souls were reborn. Again and again. A circle without end. No. She panted, watching the cycle repeat. This won't end. The shadows swarmed. Xóchitl ran, scrambling up blocks of stone, seeking height and exit. But the colossus followed, hurling massive boulders that smashed against the walls and exploded into incandescent shards. Each leap was a death sentence, each dodge a miracle. At last exhaustion beat her. Her legs failed, and she fell to her knees. The swarm of souls dropped on her, covering her completely. Hundreds of hands, claws, and teeth pressed her to the ground, smothering her cry. From above, Sloth watched, satisfied, sure of victory. You are mine, his slow voice boomed. The sea of bodies heaved. Then, from the center of that living prison, a golden flash rose. First a heartbeat, then an explosion. No! Sloth roared. With superhuman strength, Xóchitl burst out of the mantle of souls, flinging them in all directions like dry leaves. The bracelet blazed, the sword shone like a newborn sun. Seizing the surprise, she ran for the colossus. Sloth turned, too late. Xóchitl darted behind him, clambered onto his shell, and with a cry that split the air, drove the sword into the neck joint. The cut was clean, devastating. The turtle head sheared off, falling like a toppled mountain. A jet of golden and black light shot out, lighting the tunnel, the abyss, every hell. Sloth's body shuddered, arched, and finally collapsed. The souls froze. One by one, they disintegrated into final dust, this time not to return. Xóchitl fell to her knees, drenched in sweat and blood, the sword still in her hands. Breathing hurt, but she was alive. She had won. For the first time in centuries, Sloth had been beheaded. Sloth's severed head dissolved into black smoke and, before Xochitl's eyes, rejoined the beast's neck. But it was no longer the same. The colossus lost strength, shrank, and its once imposing shell now seemed to crack with every movement. Soaked in sweat and blood, Xóchitl raised the sword, and the bracelet shone in answer. Sloth, exhausted, bowed its head. "You have prevailed," it said in a voice like stones dragged by a river. "I cannot take more from you. The village of Iramuco will be free, for now." The creature retreated. Its body unraveled into shadows that frayed on the wind. As it vanished, the darkness of the place broke apart. Sunlight began to seep through like an impossible dawn. The hellscape faded, and Xóchitl felt warmth on her face, true light, the light of a new day. The creature withdrew. Its body unraveled into shadows that frayed on the wind. As it disappeared, the darkness of the place shattered. Sun began to filter in like an impossible sunrise. The hell faded, and Xóchitl felt warmth on her face, the true light of a new day. Silence fell, not an empty silence, but one filled with something sacred. Xóchitl blinked, and before her there were no ruins or fire, but a white plain, so pure she could not tell ground from sky. She walked not knowing where, guided only by the light that enveloped her. In the distance she made out a small structure, like a chapel lost in the radiance. The walls seemed made of living stone, and the air smelled of incense and tears. Inside, a figure hung from a beam, a bloodied man, face covered in wounds and a crown that blazed like fire. His gaze, even amid pain, was one of absolute love. Xóchitl stepped forward. Her chest tightened, she did not know why. She did not understand who this man was, but something inside her broke. Then she saw her. At one side, a woman with a serene face looked at him, eyes brimming with tears. She said nothing, but her gaze bore infinite sorrow, as if she carried the pain of the whole world. Xóchitl felt her body tremble. She did not understand who they were, but something told her both were bound in a way the soul recognizes, even if the mind cannot explain it. The light began to intensify, slowly blinding her. The ground vanished beneath her feet, and a gentle voice, almost imperceptible, whispered within. When she opened her eyes, she was back in the real world. The steaming swamp had vanished. The village of Iramuco lay clear. Little by little, doors opened and the people came out of their homes. Some wept, others laughed, and all knelt when they saw that the evil had withdrawn. Xóchitl and her father, Yao, were surrounded with gratitude. They were invited to eat, songs arose, an improvised feast was prepared. The air, once heavy with fear, now smelled of fresh bread, flowers, life. That night, they gave Xóchitl and Yao a place to rest. The entire village slept in peace, celebrating its liberation. As she closed her eyes, Xóchitl awoke again in the spiritual world. She found herself before a majestic waterfall, a place full of beauty and serenity. There, seated to one side, was Dorian. Xóchitl approached and sat beside him in silence, contemplating the falls, unsure how to begin. At last, Xóchitl broke the silence and asked, "Dorian, I saw a man nailed to a cross, what does it mean? Who is he?" Dorian looked at her calmly and answered, "He is the Son of God, God himself." Intrigued, Xóchitl pressed, "God is on the cross?" "Yes," Dorian affirmed. "He is the Son of God who became man and died on the cross out of love for humanity. But he did not remain on the cross, he conquered death and lives eternally." Xóchitl pondered and asked, "How can it be that God is struck?" Dorian explained, "The wounds you saw are the sign of divine love and mercy. Through this sacrifice, all of us have the chance of salvation. But remember, Jesus does not remain on the cross, he conquered death and lives." With curiosity, Xóchitl asked about the woman beside Jesus. Dorian replied, "She is the mother of Jesus, who suffered at the foot of the cross. Her sorrow reflects a mother's love and sacrifice." And so Dorian explained that, from the beginning, Mary's suffering had been foretold, and that she knew this moment would come. Astonished, Xóchitl reflected, "So God has a mother?" Dorian explained that, out of love, God took flesh in a woman, and thanks to that miracle, Jesus could offer himself for humanity. Xóchitl asked Dorian, "Dorian, why, when I saw the Virgin Mary, did I also feel like crying and feel a sense of being welcomed?" Dorian answered, "Christ loved his mother so much that he did not wish to keep her only for himself, but gave her as a mother to all humanity. Mary has a heart so beautiful that Jesus wished to share her with all of us. She cares for every person and becomes the mother of all humankind. Thus Mary becomes everyone's mother, reflecting the divine love Jesus wanted to share with humanity." Xóchitl remained asleep, but while all rested, a shadow moved through the silent streets. It was small, light, shaped like a girl. It slipped into the room where Xóchitl slept. The sword at her side glowed faintly, as if warning of danger. The shadow cast a dark mantle over it, and the glow went out. That shadow had a name, Akrasia, the demon of chronic indecision. It had waited for the exact moment when Xóchitl would lower her guard. Without a sound, it fled with the weapon. It traveled to the depths of a forest where a greater demon awaited, Gluttony, an enormous porcupine with quills red as embers and eyes burning like ovens. Akrasia bowed before him and laid the sword in his deformed claws. Instantly, a shudder ran through the air, as if the earth itself protested. Far away, Xóchitl jolted up from her bed with a dark premonition. She felt at once that something was missing. The sword was gone. A chill ran down her spine.